country. But you cannot also take your products to their country and to sell it the way they are selling those products in this country. So those are some of the things that I believe that the state should start looking at, the government institutions that are concerned.
But is this not also a mindset issue where people readily see, take Afrobrain's products, they know where they are, but they feel that it is prestigious to move into one of these big supermarkets and then get a similar product and go home with the notion that I bought what came in from some of these nations? Isn't it a mindset issue where we should be taught and invite with the spirit to love and consume and believe more in what is produced in Cameroon, especially produced with organic stuff?
Yeah, I mean, Afrobrains, for example, is one of those institutions that has brought in some level of decency when it comes to production quality and packaging. Because you see, we know about the international standards. We are not worried about sending our products to Europe. We are not worried about sending our products to America. We are not worried about sending our products anywhere else. We are worried about delivering to Cameroonians quality and healthy food. That is our priority. And that is why our slogan goes by the fact that the health of our customers is our priority. So any product that is coming from Europe, is coming from wherever it's coming from, I can say this with all confidence. There is no product that you will buy from Europe that is going to match up with 1 million of the quality that Afrobrains has. Most of the products that you import, that are imported from Europe, are substandard products. If anybody imports any product from Europe, bring it to Afrobrain, come and compete, come and beat Afrobrain's products, and I will be able to tell you that you will.
You can't also be categorical that it is substandard, because I'm sure there are processes that these products go through within the European circle, and then there should be structures in Cameroon that also regulate and ensure that the quality of what we are consuming meets our standards. Or you are saying that substandard compared with what Afrobrains is doing?
First, all the products that are coming from Europe are substandard with respect to what Afrobrains is producing.
Okay.
And secondly, I want to tell Cameroonians that you can try this. This is not rocket science. You can try this. When a product comes from Europe, repackage it into your brand, send it back to Europe and see if it will enter Europe. It's simple mathematics. It's not going to take you a long time to try that. If you send it back to Europe, they will not accept it. Okay, let's take for example, you buy a product from Europe and the product gets to you in Cameroon. Take the product from Europe, repackage it into a very good world-class standard packaging, send it back to Europe and see if it will enter into Europe. So what I'm saying is actually from practical experiments. The things that are being supplied to Europe, to Cameroon from Europe, most of it, I'm not saying all, but most of it are not things that can be consumed in Europe. So how can we tell which is which? So the best way is to stay away from most of those things and develop our local food industry. And how do we develop our local food industry? We team up ourselves, because the truth is that those finance institutions that usually finance cultivation of crops in Africa, they are not going to finance transformation, because if they finance transformation, we're not going to need anybody else. So in order to allow us and keep us into perpetual need, they're going to make sure that we only cultivate and we don't have the means to transform. So for us to be able to successfully transform and succeed and move from this level to the next level, we have to come together. That is why Afrobrains Cameroon is producing, is having its factory, making its factory available for small and medium-sized enterprises. If you have started producing and you want to brand in your own name, just come and do your production there. You don't have to buy the machine from Crash. Come, get your raw materials, transform it at Afrobrains, and then we brand it in your own brand and you can sell. Similarly, if you maybe you want to buy the machines if you have the means, or your group has the means, we can also work with you to build the machines that you need. Sometimes you may do some pre-transformation before doing final transformation. We can work with you in order to do that. What is our goal? Our goal is to make sure that the food that we have in our environment is standard, it's healthy, and it's also world class, because sometimes we produce good food, but because our packaging does not meet up with world class standards, our food looks very mediocre in the market.
Yes, when you say some of the products are coming in from out of the country are substandard compared with what you produce, who actually certifies that your products are top notch?
Well, it's because of our natural environment, okay? It's our natural environment. I know that there are standard institutions. There are institutions that standardizes things. Standardization is common sense. We've all been to school. It's not like those people who are doing standardization learn in a different planet. They all learn in school on Earth. So we know what they studied, we know what they know that we don't know, and we know what we know that they don't know. And the basic thing is that we know that by cultivating our food in a natural African environment and without the toxic chemicals, manure, and all those things, our food is of better standards. We have a lot of products that have been certified to enter into Europe as organic, but we don't have a lot of food from Europe that are being certified as organic to get into Africa. There is none. They only certify foods to get into Africa as food, but they don't certify to get into Africa as organic food. If you go into shops in Europe, you would find there are sections of organic food, and you'll find sections where you have food. They call it food, but truly, really, it's not food. I've lived in China for a long time.
Most of the organic food comes from Africa? Is that what you say?
Exactly, most, but not all.
Okay.
Most of the food, the organic food that you have on the shelves of the shops in Europe, they come from Africa. Not all. I know that there are some farmers in Europe that are struggling. They are struggling. A good number of them have been to Africa and they have seen the advantages. A good number of them have learned a lot of things from Africans, and they maintain those values. So they struggle to practice it, and they struggle to remain organic. But guess what? Their industrialization, their level of industrialization has made it in such a way that it will even be very difficult for them to have organic soils, because they can only create artificial organic, what I call artificial organic soils. That's just English language, I should say.
Okay. How can AfroBrains Cameroon ABC help individuals and groups that have raw materials but have no money to buy machines, but they are interested in transforming their raw materials and selling their brand name?
Yeah, what AfroBrains Cameroon does basically is that, as I said, is kind of a production service. It's a production service in the sense that we see that this is a challenge that is facing our communities, because we have groups, we have a lot of groups in Cameroon. I mean, a lot of groups have called me, like, we want to transform our products. We have a lot of cassavas, we have a lot of sweet potatoes, we have a lot of this. How can we do this transformation? So I tell them, you see, as of now, what I can do is that I can only be able to organize you come together, we do the transformation for you, and we package in your brand, and you do the marketing. So your farming group can own a brand, and all of you can be marketing people in your brand, and that is how your brand can grow. And you continue to produce other products, or you continue to increase your scale. If you have customers who want to buy abroad, you can increase your production scale. Then that is the first way. Secondly, what we can also do is that we can also be able to do packaging, you know. Besides the transformation, we can also do packaging, because like I said before, most of our products in Cameroon are rejected because of the quality of packaging. Most of our small and medium-sized enterprise promoters, they don't have training. They could have products in the market, they could pay people to do designs for them, but they need some basic training. They need to understand that things like packaging. It's not just to make a product look good before you can put it in the supermarket. No, there is more to packaging than just a product looking good on the supermarket shelves. So these are some of the basic things that we try as much as possible to work with
so
local
basically,
producers.
basically, what you're saying is that so many Cameroonians are out there producing maybe chips, producing groundnuts and a host of others, but to a larger extent, transformed products. But they are not selling to the level expected levels because they do not package very well, and that AfroBrains can help package and sell these products. That's what you're saying.
Yes, in fact, that you've just hit the nail on the right spot. The packaging quality is not up to standard. What they consider looking good. A good number of them just think that you're going to package a product, it's going to look good, and you can sell it. But they don't understand that there are other parameters to take into consideration besides the fact that the packaging looks good. I think that's it.
Now, how do you help them? You bring them into an institution, or you do consultancy to them, and where does this operate?
Yeah, we do consultancy. We first of all look at their resources, the resources in their natural environment. Remember that our whole goal is to see how youths in Cameroon can create wealth out of their natural environment. So what we do is that we look at where do they find themselves. If they find themselves in a place where they can get certain materials, then we identify certain packaging qualities for them, and then they can use those packaging qualities, and then we can be able to help them. There are certain additional things that they might need to make the packaging efficient, so we can always work with them to see that they achieve that level.
Okay. This question for you. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Happy to see Doctor on your platform again. I want to know from Doctor what measures he has put in place to ensure that the raw crops he buys from farmers is pure organic, given that our African farmers have engaged in the use of maximum chemicals to enhance high yields. Chris is writing from Bonaberry.
Yeah, good question. There is a difference between organic foods that we harvesting and foods that have chemicals. It's possible to have food which is organic but still has a high concentration of chemicals from fertilizers. So we have optoelectronic equipment that we use in order to test our raw materials. And when we test these raw materials, we see that the raw materials meet up with our standards. We would be able to talk with the farmers. Sometimes we will not get allow the farmers to get into waste. But what we can do is, because you see, there is always a minimum of those things. So farmers, don't be scared. Just that when you come to us, we would lead you through. So don't be scared that, oh, maybe the raw material you're having is already infested with chemicals. Just come to us. We have equipment to measure that, and we have a lot of ways that we can be able to use. Our goal is that we need the farmers to work with us. That's the most important thing.
You want farmers to work with you. So farmers who are currently producing cassava, cocoyams, and a host of others can get to you and they sell to you and you transform and sell, or how does it operate?
Yes, we do buy from farmers. Our goal is that we should first be able to establish a relationship with the farmers. We need to establish a relationship for sustainability, because when we work with a farmer, say for example the first year, and we see that this farmer is reliable, this farmer is someone that we can be able to help to produce more, so we're going to do that. So it is our wish that the farmers that meet us the first year, we achieve the satisfaction that we need from these farmers, and the following year we can be able to lead them into producing more, producing probably other varieties, and why not producing specifically for AfroBrains Cameroon.
Okay. So if farmers are watching us or persons who may want their stuff packaged, how do they get to AfroBrains? Your office is in...
Yeah, we have our head office is located in Yaoundé, Total Jouvence. You can always call 6501 3253 6501 3253. You can always call that. That's our head office number. You can also buy a wide variety of our products from our branches across Cameroon. We have a shop at Total at opposite Centre d'Accueil here in Douala. We also have a shop in Boya, in Bamenda, in Bafoussam, in Yaoundé, and so on. So most of the main cities in Yaoundé, in Cameroon, we do have distribution points. So feel free to get in touch with our head office and we'll lead you through.
Okay. But if you need his number, just write to me and I will share his numbers with you so that you get directly to him. But let me take one or two messages, sir. Hello, Mr. Leo. Greetings to you and your panelists. He is speaking 100% truth. I live in Ottawa, Ontario, and to be honest, I cannot afford to eat organic food in my house daily as it is very expensive. It's just that we don't always appreciate what we have. The earlier we start, the better. Please, I would like to have his number if he don't mind. Cameroon youths should push this initiative forward. Thanks. Okay, this is somebody who is in Canada and is testifying that over there he cannot eat as we eat here because it is very expensive to get this organic stuff, and is asking Cameroonian youths to push this initiative. We use this opportunity to say a special good evening to you, CY International, watching us live from Boya, who is also encouraging Cameroonians to consume and support Cameroonians in everything that they do. Hi, Mr. Leo. Greetings to you guys and all the entire Prime crew. Maurice from Tombel. Our country is blessed with minerals, food, technology, but our government can't permit us to manage it. Even if you manage to create your company, our government will impose high taxes instead of trying to promote it. They prefer to take over it and privatize it to foreigners. But this mindset is also helping so many persons not to want to venture, because it is a mindset that is prevailing amongst Cameroonians, that once you engage in something, you're going to be stopped by the government.
No, that is a very wrong mentality, I should say. I know that we have challenges. I'm not going to say we don't have challenges. We do have challenges, but I want to tell all my brothers and sisters abroad that Cameroon is a rich country. Don't take it for granted. Cameroon is an amazingly rich country. You see, the problem is that most of us who traveled abroad, you know, I've been abroad for several years. I left Cameroon in 2006. You know, I was out of Cameroon for several years. I traveled to several countries across Africa, across Europe, and a lot. And the thing is this. The thing is that when you are out, I must say this, when you are out, you are existing, you know. When you are out, you are existing. When you're in Cameroon, you are leaving. You see, sometimes when we are abroad, we struggle to get excuses to stay abroad. We get excuses. We are so happy when sometimes we get bad news, you know, just to give ourselves the consolation. Why? Because the environment in which we are is hostile. It's not a very friendly environment. So we need a very strong reason to be where we are, and we struggle to get that reason. Sometimes we get the reason by wanting to escalate the news even that we get from home, by making the news look so strong. You know, they say that there was an accident in Boya. You know, we want that accident to be so serious, you know, that we tell ourselves that, okay, this is good reason not to be in Cameroon. You know, I've been there. That's the reason why I talk to the point. But I just want to tell my brothers and sisters abroad that Cameroon is a rich land. And do not allow anybody to deceive you that Cameroon is broke. Do not allow anybody to deceive you that because of all the little corruption stories that you hear about Cameroon, it has finished all the money in Cameroon. It's a big lie. This country is rich. There's a lot of money. You cannot even count it. It is not even exploited. We need Cameroonians to come and let us work on this.
Yes. When you package my product, will it be under my logo, or you use your logo on my product?
No, of course, of course. When we're doing production services, we package on the logos of the customers.
Okay, so you bring your logo. It is packaged.
Yeah, you bring everything. We just do the production service for you, and you are charged for that. It's just a service we're providing.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Please, I wish to ask for doctor's number. Okay, you have doctor's number there. Good evening, sir. Good evening to you. Can we have his number? I've sent the number to you. So many requests coming. Good evening, Mr. Kum. Please ask him if he is offering training, and if yes, what type of training do they offer?
Yeah, we currently having training that's starting on the first week of June. The training is on agricultural value chain technologies, meaning that we're training people on how to convert, for example, tubers. You know, tubers, it could be cocoyams, it could be yams, it could be cassavas into finished products. We also training people on grains and all that, and we especially training people on machine repairs, because sometimes you see we buy machines from other jurisdictions, we buy machines even from Cameroon, and when we have little problems, we are not able to do maintenance. So we decided to program this course in a way that we can transfer some of these skills to the youth so that they can be able to manage some of these production units.
Okay, so many persons are wanting to know where the shops are located in Bamenda, Boya, Limbe, Douala, Yaoundé. Please just request for his number. I will send the numbers to you. And so many persons are also asking some very basic questions. We may not have time for all their questions, but I will just share his number with you after the program so that you can get to him and get specific answers to your worries. Our supermarkets sell mostly imported fruits, among others, which could easily be manufactured here. Instead of looking at this packaging substandard, and why not also focus, take stock of what is fed our supermarkets and get them produced back home?
Yeah, the problem is that those who come and invest in the setting up of these supermarkets are not Cameroonians.
Okay.
Most of them are foreign investors, and the foreign investors are financed by those in their countries who produce some of these products. It's like, for example, AfroBrains. Yeah, it's like, for example, AfroBrains is here in Cameroon, and we realize that Equatorial Guinea is a country that probably needs food. So what we do is we go to Equatorial Guinea, and my friend and I, we go to Equatorial Guinea. My friend and I, we set up a supermarket, and then we only sell AfroBrains products. So that is how it is. So they have some discussions that they have with our government institutions. That is why the government, my wish is that our government institutions should recognize the fact that we in Cameroon, we have a lot of potentials to produce a lot of things. So they should impose on some of these supermarkets that are coming into Cameroon that certain percentage of products must be local. I want to believe that with the policy of import substitution, if I'm not mistaken, there should be something like that in the air. I don't want to categorically say that it is not being done, but I want to believe that with the import substitution, it will only take a country that doesn't want to survive not to do that, because that is what every nation does, to export into China. Remember that China is selling rice to us, but ironically China cultivates rice in Cameroon and sells to China. Are Cameroonians even alive? Are we even thinking, how is it possible that we have Chinese people in Cameroon? I have no issue against Chinese people. I'm just saying that how is it possible that we have Chinese friends in Cameroon who are cultivating rice and exporting back to China, and we are buying rice from the same China? Is there not something we should be looking at. Those are some of the things we should be looking at.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Liu. The program is very interesting and important. We should consume our products. Let's Afrobrains locate their shops and contact the contact number. Madam Winifred is writing from Limbe. Madam Winifred, I've sent you Afrobrains number. I hope you get to them. Very interesting one. I'm an agronomist interested in value chain development. I wish to have their contact. Okay. They're going to get to you. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I'm watching you live from Yaoundé. Please, can you share doctor's number with me? Okay. This one says, good evening, Mr. Liu. Please, for Dr. Tata's number. Very interesting program. Oh, everybody wants your number. Good evening, Mr. Liu. And the panelists, I just want to ask, Doctor, can we also bring cocoa? Yes. Do you transform cocoa?
Yeah, of course. There are a few ways that we could transform cocoa. It all depends on. But I just wanted to say this. I've met a lot of young Cameroonians struggling to produce cosmetic products from cocoa, producing things like soap from cocoa. Let me just give this freely out. Generally, soaps are not produced with cocoa. It's shea butter. So it will be preferable that they reach out to shea butter, which is much cheaper, and it will play on their price of production, so they can make more sales. So this is just free knowledge I'm giving out. But we do consult people. If you want to get into production, that's what I could want to tell Cameroonians. If you want to get into production or transformation, visit Afrobrains. We can work with you, and we can be able to customize your product in such a way that you make more profit. We can customize your product in such a way that you have better packaging. We can customize your product in such a way that you can easily produce it by yourself. So that is what Afrobrains does. Our goal is what? Our goal is that we want Cameroonians to be able to produce as much value from their natural environment as possible. We are not limiting ourselves only to those who have started production. We are also going to the secondary schools, and we start teaching them from secondary schools, because if some of us already knew some of these things at secondary schools, we would have been great and experts by now. So that's where we're starting from. So try and get in touch with us if you have any idea about wanting to start producing something. Then I think we could be of help to you.
Okay. Special greetings this evening to you, Mr. Ako Eno, who is watching us from Mundemba, and to you, Njui Charlotte, who should be watching from Bamenda, Northwest Regional Capital. Now, there is a category of people who already have some machines for transformation, but these guys are not fortunate with packaging. And to them, how can Afrobrains Cameroon help such persons? You only function on the basis of consultancy, or you prioritize them sending some of their members to come for training in your school?
Yes, thank you very much, Leo, for that question. There are two things we do. The first thing we do is that we can train. If you already are into production, you have a couple of machines, and you have challenges with packaging, we could do training for you. We could train you and get you to understand exactly what type of packaging you need, and what's the most affordable path that you can be able to use to get the packaging that you need. And secondly, we also have packaging service in such a way that if we discuss with you and we realize that your packaging need, we can reach it, because we cannot claim to be able to do all the packaging types or qualities in the world. We have our limits. But if the packaging type or style that you want, we can meet to that, then what we would do is that we would work with you to provide you with that world-class packaging. All we can say is that whatever packaging that we settle on, that we're going to do for you, you must be sure that this packaging is world-class. Remember that one of the reasons why products that are coming from Africa are not able, it's just one of the reasons. There are other political reasons, but one of the claims that are used to discard African products coming or products coming from Africa into Europe or other continents is that the packaging is unscientific. You know, sometimes you see somebody packaging flour in such a way that air is, you know, air gets into the package. You know, I've seen this packaging. These packagings are common. They are not wrong. They're the people who say they are not wrong. There are a lot of those packagings circulating in Cameroon, where you find people packaging powder in a packaging that is airy, and within just the least pressure, air gets into the whole thing. That kind of product cannot last on the shelves for more than even 4 or 5 months. But this is a product that is being sent from Africa into Europe. By the time it leaves Africa into Europe, it spent quite a lot of time. By the time it gets into the supermarket in Europe, it wouldn't have much time. It will be bad already. So we need to be able to put more energy onto the quality. We get training too on the quality. So we have the training, and also we have the consultancy.
Please send me his number. I'm Etuge, writing from Tombell. Good evening to you, Etuge. What a great topic, Mr. Kum. Interested in the training. Can I have doctor's number? Okay. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I like the program. Please, for doctor's Tata's number. And for Dieudonné, writing from Bamenda. Good evening to you all watching us from Bamenda. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Please, I wish to ask if doctor is recruiting technicians that maintain the machines. My son is a fabrication mechanic and assistant operator. Please, for his number, doctor will answer that later. Let me take 2 more messages. Hello, Mr. Kum. Please thank to the doctor Tata phone. Please let me have doctor's number. Would like to learn more from him. Ambu Ephraim, writing from Bamenda in Nkwen. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Please, can I have his number? It's Mbo Jordan, writing from Yaoundé. Please, I want to apply his agricultural skills in Bamenda because it is amazing. Good evening to you. Good day. Please, I want the telephone number of Dr. Tata. Okay. Yes, doctor. The private sector investment, there are so many opportunities so as to create employment and meet extra demand. Why are we not investing? Why don't we see persons investing in very large scale in the private sector? Because when you look at it, we have the CDC that is not purely, and a host of others. Why do we not have private individuals investing heavily like we see them do in transport, in importation, and a host of others?
I think the problem is with Anglophones generally. The thing is that the communication, the information that Anglophones have about investing in Cameroon at this point in time. Some Anglophones think that Cameroon has come to an end. Life is no longer going on in Cameroon. Everything has ended. You know, like I said before. Sometimes people hear news from Cameroon and they think that, Cameroon has ended. No, but like I said, I just want to continue to encourage Cameroonians abroad that there is a huge opportunity that you're missing in Cameroon. There is a huge opportunity. And there are people taking advantage of these opportunities. You're sitting there and you're saying that, whatever, you know what, some of them say, they're going to come to Cameroon when English Cameroon gets its independence. By the time you come, people have already bought all the companies, people have already bought all the land, people have started businesses and bought all the land, even the one that you are thinking you're going to come and build on. So this is the time where you are supposed to invest in Cameroon. This is the time where you are supposed to be able to get as much land as you want in Cameroon. So don't be discouraged. Why don't you tell yourself that this is just a way to discourage you and people buy your land? You know, one of the greatest problems in this country we're facing today is that of land ownership. It's shocking to me that Anglophone Cameroonians are not worried about it because they just don't have the least idea about how much land that has been bought already in English Cameroon. So I just want to encourage everybody, I just want to encourage Cameroonians as a whole that the opportunities in the agricultural sector agricultural sector are huge. It's very evident. It's natural money. You don't. It's not one of those things that you would do and regret. It's one of those things that you should do at your retirement. It's one of those things you want to do when you retire. You know, you want to be a part of a vision that reduces, food insecurity. You want to be a part of a vision that creates employment. You want to be a part of a vision that creates opportunities for young people in food cultivation, in food transformation, in food distribution, in food marketing, in food sales, and all sorts of things. So the Afro Brains concept is a concept that, like I said before, it can be replicated across Cameroon. You could make it regionally, meaning that you could put it in the north, you could put it in the east, you could put it in the west, you could put it anywhere, and it will be able to transform raw materials from these various regions. AfroBrains Cameroon is working on that concept to see how we can create opportunities in all the regions in Cameroon by doing what? By being able to set up transformation unit, multi-product food transformation units in these places, train youths from these various regions and give them the skills required to set up, to be able to manage these units with a central unit in Yaoundé.
Good evening, Brother Kum, please, for Doctor's number, Mr. Kum. To Odilia in Muyuka, please ask Doctor, can we send him cassava to produce it for us? Because here we only prepare gari and water fufu for help this our group. Okay, if it's a group, how do you work with them?
Yes, we have groups across Cameroon, and I must say that for this weekend, we have a truck that is coming over. If there's any group, we can always carry raw materials in the southwest to Yaoundé for transformation. So we can buy the raw materials from them. We can agree with them to what quantity of raw materials they have. We can always arrange to buy and then go and transform. So we work with groups, and when we work with groups for some time, we begin to accompany them. When I talk of accompanying them, I'm talking of providing them, for example, seeds, providing them, it could be, for example, money for labor, providing them, it could be, for example, farm inputs like manure and some of those chemicals that they might need in order to fight some of the pests that are regular, that are known by IRAD, because we work with IRAD standards. Yeah, because IRAD is the institution in Cameroon. Maybe a lot of farmers don't know. IRAD is the institution in Cameroon that does a lot of positive work with farmers. And I would advise all farmers in Cameroon, if IRAD wasn't doing the right thing, trust me, I wouldn't have advised farmers to work with IRAD. But I've worked with a lot of scientists. I have schoolmates who are working at IRAD. I can say for sure that what IRAD is doing is good, is excellent. They should work with IRAD to get seeds. I've always spoken a lot against imported seeds, but I'm saying that you can work with IRAD to get seeds. You can work with IRAD to get food, manure, and fertilizers, because IRAD is doing its best to make sure that we maintain our natural environment.
Okay, good evening, sir. Can I get doctor's number? Please, can doctor throw more lights on the training in June?
Yeah, in June, we're going to start training of students in agricultural value chain technologies. We're going to be training students on how to transform various tubers, various grains, various fruits, and a lot of other categories of raw materials into finished products. We're also going to be training our students in the basic approaches to machine maintenance, how to maintain machines with where there's no doctor for machines. We have a course like that. So we want to make sure that the students who participate in this program, who graduate from this program with their diploma, most of them already have jobs. So we work with institutions, because remember that progressively we have people who are investing into agricultural value chain technologies. So we deploy these students into some of these businesses. We recommend them to entrepreneurs, because an entrepreneur will not want to spend his money on people that do not have the required skills. So we recommend them to entrepreneurs. Some of them, we recommend them to get started their own businesses and so on. Because you see, in order to start a business, you require a specific set of skills. You might have all the money you have in the world, but if you don't have specific set of skills in idea form or physical form, you might not be able to start a business. So we make sure that we're able to get our students to that level where they're not just going to learn these sets of skills and then they'll be hanging around, but they will have somewhere or something to do that they can earn a living, or they can earn a living, or they can be able to create value from their natural environment and share this value with others.
Okay, share values with others. The demand is actually higher than available in Cameroon, because if we are able to import so much, I don't know, you gave statistics last time of the amount of rice that is imported. Is this an indication of what can actually be consumed in Cameroon if we were to invest in agriculture?
I think that our imports shouldn't be a problem if we know the value of good food.
Okay.
If we don't have the power, if the people do not have the power to control the quantity of import, the people have the power to choose what to buy. And that is why I'm talking to Cameroonians. I'm telling you that there is no food that is imported that is healthy to your body. The foods that are imported are rejected foods. There is nobody out there. I've lived in Europe. I've lived in several continents, in several countries. I can tell you this for sure. There is no one out there that has time to go to the farm, cultivate food, go to the farm, harvest food, transform it, and send to Africa. Africa, like really for Africa? No, they don't have that time. When they're sending anything here, is because they don't want to consume it. It's either expired in the supermarkets and they put it together and repackage it and send it to Africa. I'm not accusing anyone, but I'm just saying it's possible. But I'm saying that we can cultivate, we can be able to transform our foods, and we can eat it. That is what we're sure about. We're not just sure that it's not the food that is coming from Europe or any other place, but we are sure that it's natural, it's healthy, and it's what we need for our bodies.
Good evening, Mr. Liu. I'm Atali Davidson in Boya. I really enjoyed the program with Dr. Tata. Kindly text me his number. Good evening to you, Atali. Good evening, please, for Doctor's number. I'm into agriculture and food transformation. Please, where is the venue for the training and course? Please let Doctor enlighten us. Duration too. Doctor is going to come to that, but let me take one or two. Good evening, sir. Please, can I have Doctor's number? Alain is writing from Ewane. Good evening to you, Alain. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Please, for Doctor's number. Okay. This one says, good evening, sir. It's Joel K. from Njombe, sir. I was asking if I could have Doctor's number. I want to know if one can work with him. What are the qualifications needed? Sir, can you just write directly to him? Good evening, sir. I'm enjoying the program from Limbe. Please, sir, can I have Doctor's number? Good evening, Mr. Aliu. I would need to have Doctor's contact. Okay, your guest. I need to know the location of his shop in Bamenda. Yeah, but we want to eat organic. We want to feed healthy. We want to do everything, and we also want to make huge benefits from the work we do on our farms. But the mindset of Cameroonians towards our farming is also not positive. How do we get Cameroonians to love farming and also see so much opportunities in that activity?
Yeah, I think it's not a problem of the mindset of Cameroonians. I think it's a problem of our educational system.
Okay.
Because our educational system has actually, it was designed to put us far apart from our environment. Because our educational system did not contextualize the environment in which we find ourselves. It was so far away. Can you imagine for a moment that someone is in Cameroon learning European history? That is so far and irrelevant. It's not concrete. I remember that I was one of those, if not working with one of my teachers, to advocate for the changing for the modification of the further mathematics and physics syllabus to reflect local examples. Because at first you used to find, you used to find questions like a point moving from point A to point B. That's so abstract. Why don't you just say that Mary is moving from Commercial Avenue to Longla Street? You see, it gives a more visualizable image to the minds of the learners. It's the same thing what I'm trying to put forth today, that our agricultural environment is a better way for us to conceive the importance and the relevance of food. Because if we still sit and expect that we importing food, then we are getting disconnected. Remember that food insecurity is not just a Cameroon challenge; it's a global challenge. If you look at the United Nations, they call it SDGs or something like that. Mm-hmm. The food insecurity is a central part of it. The globe is facing food insecurities. Why do you think that somebody in Europe is going to do good food and send to you in Africa? You know what I mean? Like in Africa. So why do you think somebody is going to do good food in Europe and send to you in Africa? You can't do your own food in Africa. Something wrong with you or what? Meanwhile, you have all the fertile soils. So I think we need to get this level of consciousness. We need to get this level of awakening. We need to be conscious of the fact that we are bound to work together, or we die struggling to work individually. So we have to work together. So I believe that Cameroonians are aware of this. Cameroonians are taking action, and that is the reason why you would notice that there's so many Cameroonians who are struggling to produce a wide variety of foods. Farmers are not sleeping. Farmers are working hard. Farmers are struggling to increase their land. Farmers are struggling to work with institutions like AfroBrains Cameroon to extend their production. So I think in Cameroon we have the message already. I think in Cameroon we understand that already. So that's why you see people are asking questions, people are interested, people want to get trained, because the most important thing is to get trained. You need the skills here, right? You need the skills. The skills are very important. So I'm very glad that a lot of people are sending their students. You know, we've graduated our first batch, so this is the second batch of students that we're recruiting. And I must say that all the students in the first batch are already in the field. They are working. Some are working with institutions that have just been set up. Some are working as private entrepreneurs in their own products, and so on and so forth. But all of them are busy. So I think this whole idea of this whole AfroBrains whole idea is to give people this entrepreneurship in a practical approach. It's not, you see, entrepreneurship was not meant to be a course. You don't have to go and learn a course called entrepreneurship. No, entrepreneurship is a way of life. You know, it's like Christianity. It is not a course you have to go and learn. Christianity is a way of life. It's not a course you go and learn in a place. So I think that the more students come to learn about these sets of skills, the more they can gain what we call financial independence from their families and relatives, and they can be able to take care of themselves. There are lots of youths around Cameroon today who have the time available, but they don't know that they can integrate themselves into this program and get to learn some of these skills, and post the learning of this skill, or after the learning of these skills, they can be able to start their own business. Okay. And they don't need to have capital, because I think some of them are afraid that, but even if I finish some of these courses and I don't have enough capital. No, you can work in partnership with AfroBrains Cameroon, meaning that if you develop a product after your course, you develop a product that does not exist after your course, what happens? There are some of the products that we have at AfroBrains that are products that were developed by students that we train. They are working in partnership with AfroBrains to produce that product. They have a percentage in the sales of those products. That is where you can get started. Okay.
Good to Mr. Elu. I must say, Doctor will deliver most Cameroonians through this initiative. Please, I'll love to have his contact. Bienvenue à Kum is writing there. Hello, good evening. I totally agree with Dr. Tata. I commend him for the great work. I hope the government of Cameroon has given him the necessary support on Ewane. Jacob is writing from Kumbu. Please, sir, let me get his contact of Vitalis Akaning writing there from Yaoundé. Good evening to you. Now, somebody is saying that he hopes that the government is supporting this project. How much support are you getting from the government?
Well, so far none. It's our wish that our wish is not just to get cash support. Money is not really the solution to most of the problems that we're complaining as a nation. What we need is private-public partnership with the government, because we want something which is sustainable. We want something which can transcend governments. A government is just a set of people for a period of time. But what we want is something that can transcend governments. What we want is a public-private partnership that we can be able to create a standard. We can be able to create institutions with standardized structures that can help to create jobs for youths in a very long and sustainable period of time. For us to just collect 1 million or some of the billions that are calling, it will be easy for us to go and bootlick and collect some of those. But, well, let me be very polite. The truth is, we don't really have that yet, but it's our wish that we work together with the government to develop the agricultural industry, because there's so much jobs. If you look around, you will realize that we have a lot of youths who have qualifications. Some of them are carpenters. Some of them are electricians. Some of them are all sorts of things. And they are all riding bikes, you know, in towns. But agriculture, I believe that if we are to scale the Afro-Brains concept at the regional level, meaning that all the regions can have multi-product food transformation units, what will happen is that we're going to create thousands and millions of jobs. And all these people who are suffering in the rain with bikes up and down, they will have a job that they can enjoy, and they can also have a family and spend time with their family and happy time with their family. You know, there's so much stress and pressure all around, you know, with this bike stuff.
Well, with this bike stuff, so many persons are getting interested in agriculture, but are we not also getting the best or the maximum that we could get from agriculture because of our choice of investing, where many persons today are prioritizing cash crops over some of these other crops considered not really profitable, like cassava, like cocoyams? And is it not also a mindset issue?
No, I just think that the cash crops, those are outdated concepts.
Okay.
Even Ghana, I think Ghana has faced Switzerland head-on in the transformation of cocoa to chocolate. So we should be able to face all those multinational companies that are deceiving our farmers and telling them all the nice stories. Meanwhile, you see, the chocolate company is enormously rich, but the farmers that are producing the cocoa are unexpectedly not as rich as the people who are involved in the chocolate company. So it is my wish that since we are starting to add value to much more agricultural products, some of these multinational companies may have to call our cocoa farmers and our coffee farmers, for those who are still cultivating, to readjust their contracts. Why? Because there are better options. You know, because in the past, the cocoa farmers had no other choices. And the coffee farmers maybe had no other choices. But they had no other options. But today we have more options. Cassava is, you know, the word cash crop is, I can say, is just it's deceptive language. It's a deceptive language. Because where is the cash, you know? So we can call all crops in Cameroon as cash crops, as long as we can convert them into finished products. So we can call all crops, whether it's potatoes, whether it's cassavas, it's cash crop because we can transform it and we can make cash out of it. Whether it's what else do we have? Everything. Granules is a cash crop in Cameroon. So everything is a cash crop in Cameroon. So that language is outdated and irrelevant to the time. So what I can suggest, or what I would like to encourage Cameroonians to do, is to embrace food transformation, to work with food transformation factories, to those, especially groups and farmers. Please do get in touch with food transformation factories and work as a group to supply raw materials. Look at your cost of transportation. I know that fuel prices just went up recently, so that increased some of the, and those are some of the challenges that we're facing. That increased some of the cost of transportation and discouraged some of the farmers to supply. But however, continue to insist, because the thing is that the moment we are able to discard the imported products, how do we discard the imported products? We have locally produced, for example, tomatoes or pepper or whatever, where we have certain locally produced products. Let's consume the locally produced products. Let us focus on consuming the locally produced products. When we continue to insist on consuming made in Cameroon, what will happen is that the people who are importing these products will get exhausted. When they get exhausted, the local market is going to expand. And when the local market is going to expand, despite the fact that the prices might increase, but the advantage is that we're going to have a higher standard of living for the foods that we eat. So price increase generally is not a bad thing. But when price increase comes with quality increase, with quality of life increase, because if somebody says that, okay, you are not going to be getting on bike today, you're not going to be getting on bike, but if somebody can give you a ride, if somebody can, give you a lift in a vehicle for the same price that you would have climbed the bike, you would say what? You would have preferred the lift with a vehicle. Why? Because it's safer, and it's more reliable. So don't be too afraid. Let's not be too afraid of price increases in the future, far future, but let us try as much as possible to see that we focus on consuming made in Cameroon products, because that's the only way. But that's the only way that we have, that the people have to do what? To reduce the import. Because those who are buying the imported products, I don't think they've made up their mind to reduce the import, because they continue to give the excuse that local production is still small, even though the government has published a policy on import substitution, meaning that I think the government talked about 60%, meaning that we're going to be struggling to see how we can use the products that are produced locally to replace the imports that we have. But the truth is, at the end of the day, the people who are doing the importation are just going to claim that, hey, you know what, there's nobody producing locally. In fact, all those who are producing locally are not producing anything much. Did you see any around? Did you see any around? No, we didn't see any around. And that's it. So what we want to do is we want Cameroonians to insist on consuming products that are produced locally. When the people do that, there's no way all these people who are now acting in our interest will have to follow us. They have no choice.
Okay. Dr. Tata, you are just the best that our nation needs. Maybe you can ask those who are older to take up shares in your projects. Please let me know. Enjoying this beautiful program today. I sent you Dr. Tata's number. You can just get to him to find out whether he's interested in opening up shares. But now, what is the future of AfroBrains in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years?
Yeah, the future of AfroBrains, this is an interesting question, and I really love the question, because the future of AfroBrains is to make sure that all the regions in Cameroon have a multi-product food transformation unit. All the regions in Cameroon will have a multi-product food transformation unit. That is what the future of AfroBrains is. And at these units, all Cameroonians from these regions will be trained to set up these units, maintain these units, and manage these units. And these units will be able to transform products for small and medium-sized enterprise promoters, and these units will also be able to transform the raw materials from the farm, from the individual and group farmers in their region. So in Cameroon, we are going to, in the future of Cameroon, the next 5 years, we are going to have products that we know that, oh, this product is coming from the north. For example, yam flour will be coming from the north. For example, groundnut oil, because the north is producing a lot of groundnut. Most Cameroonians will, and oh, this is all from the north. So every region is going to be rich in something. You know, the northwest will be rich in something. Why not white honey? Why not other stuff? There's a lot that the northwest can be. Irish potato flour, and so much that the northwest is going to be producing. Spices and all that. You go to the southwest, you also have a lot of things that the people will be popular for. So you realize that every region is going to develop a unique products that they will be producing in very reasonable quantities. So at the end of the day, it is a way to share the national cake in an understandable and equal manner, such that everybody can have a bit to share.
Yeah, we're talking about food security in Cameroon. That's the essence, and also job creation. But if we were to heavily invest in agriculture, we could also become a huge exporting nation to the world, especially in organic products.
Yes, you're very right. You're very right, and the opportunities are there. We have Equatorial Guinea, which does not do. They don't do a lot of agriculture in Equatorial Guinea. You go to Gabon, there's not much agriculture that is done in Gabon, and so on. The market in Nigeria is huge because despite their population, despite the agriculture that they do, because of the weight of the population on the agriculture that they do, the ratio, you see that they still need a lot of food that they can buy. So what that means is that we are, you look at Chad and so on. So we are around countries that need a lot of agricultural finished products. So it is in our interest, with our beautiful and God-given agricultural diversity and fertile soils, is in our interest for our government to work with private sector to invest in agricultural food transformation so that we can be able to feed these markets and provide jobs for our locals here in Cameroon. I don't know why that is so difficult, but I think it's very straightforward. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to figure that out.
Okay, it's very common. Don't know why we are not tapping. But what's stopping us from tapping into that? We have the lands, we have this, and the demand is really very high. Not only in Africa, we could also supply out of Africa, especially from the organic perspective. But what is stopping us? I
think that what is stopping us is the lack in believing in self. Because before I left abroad and came back to Cameroon, it was because I believed in the vision that I carry. And we have a lot of Africans out there abroad who want to come back to Cameroon, but the thing is, their belief in what we're doing, their belief in Africa is too thin that the least thing they are already, they have gone bananas. So I think that we just need to reinforce our belief in self as Africans. That is the reason why my institution is referred to as Afro Brains. It's an Afro brain. It's not just my brain. My heart's desire was that I'm going to team up with other Cameroonians, with other Africans. That's why I called it Afro Brains. And in order to bring this solution, not just to Cameroon, but to Africa as a whole, where Africans can be able to transform value from their natural environment. There's nothing more amazing than transforming your natural environment into value. But I think so far so good. Those who are able to see through the words I think they are getting to understand what I've been saying from the very beginning. But I think our governments too should also create the opportunities to encourage those who are abroad, because you see policies that are that involved, accepting other people who have accepted other nationalities into the country here. But I think that a lot of Cameroonians have the wrong notion about the dual nationality. So I think maybe some education at the level of the foreign embassies of Cameroon abroad, because a lot of people just think that simply because you have another nationality, you can't come to Cameroon. That's wrong. If you have another nationality, you can still come to Cameroon. It is not because you have another nationality that you are automatically rejected. No, there's no law that says that. A lot of Cameroonians have that misunderstanding. It is only when the head of state has decided that you are no longer a Cameroonian. The only person that can be able to deny you of your nationality is the head of state. So you were born a Cameroonian, the only person that can deny you that nationality. So I think a lot of people have this wrong notion that just the fact that you have another nationality, you
are no longer a Cameroonian.
You are no longer a Cameroonian, okay. And that is why it discourages investment back home. But please, I want this to be very categorical and very clear. Until the head of state of this nation says that you are not a Cameroonian, you remain a Cameroonian.
Okay, how do you see, the future is bright, many persons are going to be employed, and that all 10 regions are going to witness the implantation of structures belonging to Afrobrains. What about organizations, farmer associations? How do you intend to work with them in the next 3, 4, 5 years, still like you do today?
Yes, the organizations that will be working with us today, what we want is that they will become more established. Afrobrains will be producing more machines to expand their production, because we don't want to get into cultivation. Our goal is to work in cultivation through the groups. Mm-hmm. So we will give them all the energy that we have, all the know-how that we have. We'll build the machines that they need. If it's mini tractors that they need, we'll build that for them. We'll be able to assemble that for them. What we do, one of our services is that we build machines for groups, and we also can work with groups to import machines. You see, we are getting started with a concept, and our goal is that in the next 2 to 3 or 4 years, we should be able to build those machines that we are assembling today. There are some machines that we are assembling today because we cannot produce certain parts, but we are positive that as we move forward, we are going to be producing more and more complex parts. We're going to have to buy those machines that we can use to produce parts. So there are parts that we are buying today that we will no longer be buying again in future. So I think that the groups that we're working with, the groups that we are helping today, maybe to buy machines abroad, we will be producing those machines by ourselves, and we will also start producing bigger machines. Why not? So, but one thing which is for sure is that we want that their productivity should continue to progressively increase, so that our unit price should be reducing to meet up with our local population, so that we don't want our local population to produce something that they cannot consume themselves. Like you see, a local farmer is producing cocoa, but the price of chocolate that local farmer cannot afford. So we don't want that kind of thing to happen to our food. We want that our local farmers should be able to afford the foods that we are producing.
Okay. Greetings to Mr. Liu and the guest, Achu Muye from Bengui. Agricultural practices are still rudimentary insofar as agriculture is not mechanized from land preparation, production, harvesting to transformation. Then with the geometric increase in population, we will suffer hunger, starvation, and malnutrition in case the country is hit by a natural disaster, such a prolonged drought. Okay, we don't have excess in store to serve as a backup. Okay, that is a worry you raised, I'm sure, at the wake of the war in Ukraine. We need a food transformation unit in every region in Cameroon if our government so cares. I will only vote for politicians in 2025 that will support Dr. Tata's concept.
Amen.
Jacob. is writing from Bui Division. Good evening to everyone watching us from Kumbu and other towns around there. Please, sir, for the number of Afrobrains Enterprise, okay? Good evening to you. Just get to Dr. Tata. Doctor, we saw what happened to Africa when the Ukraine war started. We saw the president of Senegal move to meet the president of Russia, and because we were threatened. And as we speak, we've seen grain come down from Ukraine to a port. I don't know whether it was Kenya, one of these East African countries, to help African nations. Is this not enough warning or pointer to what could happen to any nation if we do not take care?
Yeah, I mean, that's an excellent question. You see, you're right. You're actually right to ask that, because we living in a world today whereby every nation, like I said before, hunger or food insecurity is not a Cameroonian thing. Food insecurity is a global challenge, and the food insecurity that we are facing in Cameroon is the same food insecurity that is faced in Nigeria, maybe of different quantum, and the same food insecurity in all the countries in the world. So I do not understand the rationale behind the fact that we can still sit down and feel that a country or other countries that are equally, well, maybe not equally, that are also suffering from food insecurity could go to their farms, cultivate, and send to us. In fact, it doesn't make sense. It is in our interest to realize that when we are facing a global challenge, we should have strategies to address it from our own perspective. And God has blessed us with natural, thank God, we are blessed with a natural environment that is fertile. So what can we do? We can capitalize on our agricultural landscape. We can capitalize on our diversity of agricultural products, and we can produce them. We can scale the productions, and it's so beautiful here that in Cameroon you can scale production without necessarily spending lots of billions in food inputs and all those things. And I'm surprised that we are not doing it in Cameroon. So I don't know exactly what our plans are. But what we should be doing, what I think, in my opinion, we should be doing is that we should be expanding production. We should be setting up multi-product food transformation units. And we should be developing policies to alert those who are owning supermarkets in Cameroon and telling them that, hey, we are getting ready to start producing our own products. So you should be progressively reducing the imports that you're putting into your supermarkets. Why? Because we have local products that are going to be replacing those products that you have. I think those are policies. You know, to export into China is like a camel getting through the needle to a needle, you know, a needle hole, that's what we can call it. So why do we have so much loose policies that people could just, you know, import into our country? And not even that, they are just importing certain things we don't have. They are importing just the very things that we have, in fact, and importing it at a cheaper price. So I think that is not encouraging to the local market. We do not have to compete. We do not have. I am saying this, and I'm very categorical about this. I do not have to compete with a Chinese company in the production of cocoyam flour. I don't have to compete with a Chinese company. It doesn't matter whether the Chinese company can produce it cheaper than me. I don't have to compete in Cameroon. I don't have to. I don't have to. Cameroon is my country. I cannot compete in the production of any product or the distribution of any product with anyone whosoever from whichever country. This is my country. I should have priority because my quality, as long as my quality, I'm not saying this to say that I'll produce any rubbish and I'll expect that it should be competing with import. No, I am saying that this is a situation where we're producing to international standards. All of us are producing to international standards. So I should have priority. So that should be categorical. So these are some of the policies that I think that the state has to be looking into to make sure that we Cameroonians who have gotten to know about the standards, who have gotten to know about the quality standards, and who have gotten to know about all these things, we should not be competing with imports. And guess what? I produce organic. You who is importing, you who is bringing products from another country, I'm sorry, I'm not capitalizing specifically on any Chinese for no reason whatsoever, but I'm just using that as an example. But anybody who is importing product, whatsoever the product might be, should not compete with me in Cameroon. You can compete with me elsewhere, but don't come compete with me in Cameroon, because what I'm producing, you are not producing it on Cameroon soil. This Cameroon soil, unless you want to tell me you got Cameroon soil in your country, but you don't have it. But this is Cameroon soil, and what we produce in Cameroon soil is Cameroon, and it's beautiful, it's natural, and we know what it is, and we know what your soil can produce.
Okay. You as an expert in machine building and agricultural value chain technologies, how can you help Cameroon to maximize its benefits from agricultural value chain technologies?
Yeah, for Cameroon to be able to maximize its benefits from the agricultural value chain technologies, we have to be able to scale the initiative. When I talk about scaling the initiative, what I mean is that we have to spread the initiatives to the regional level, meaning that every regional capital should have a food transformation unit. Every regional capital should have a food transformation unit. So if we go to Bamenda, for example, we should have a food transformation unit. If we go to Boya, for example, we should have a multi-product food transformation unit. If we go to all the regional capitals, right, we should have multi-product food transformation units. Now, what would these multi-product food transformation units be doing? They would work in collaboration. They will be trained to work in collaboration with the local farmers to absorb the excesses. You know, one of the challenges that Cameroon is facing is the fact that during the harvest season, in most of our communities, we all cultivate the same thing. So during harvest season, everybody in that community is harvesting the same thing. So the products come to the local markets and the products meet themselves there. And you realize that the value of the product falls. And you realize that the post-harvest loss is going to be generated. At the end of the season, statistics or research has shown that farmers lose about 30 to 40% during those seasons. We cannot continue to do the same thing and expect other results. Then that is why this multi-product food transformation unit is coming. So what happens is that we already have farmers in each community that we collaborate with. They are not going to take their raw materials to the local markets. They are just going to take their raw materials directly to the factories, and the factories will transform the raw materials into finished products. Meanwhile, those who produce in lesser quantity, they can take their products to the local markets. Yes, there's nothing wrong in somebody who produces just about 1 ton to take his products to the local market and sell maybe 1 bag of raw materials at 8,000. But you who might be supplying your raw materials, you're producing about 100 tons, you're supplying your raw material to a factory at maybe, even if it is 3,000 or 4,000, you still make a lot of profit. And I actually really like the farmers to get this very clear. The prices at which you're going to supply to the factories can never be the same as the prices at which you're going to sell at the local markets, because science research has shown that when you sell to this local market, at the end of the year of harvest, you lose about 30 to 40% of your raw materials. But if you had sold these products to the factory, you realize that we're not going to lose that 30 to 40%. That 30 to 40% of food that you're losing could be pumped into the system, and the system is going to make the cost of food to be lower. So it is in our interest to work together in order to see that the food industry grows, because when the food industry grows, all of us are going to benefit from it. How are we going to benefit from it? The prices of the raw materials are going to go down, the profit margin for those who are selling raw materials are going to climb, and the profit margin for those who are also retailing and distributing the finished products are going to climb. And then we're going to have a very active and a fulfilling food industry, which belongs to us. But remember that the food industry in which we are right now in Cameroon doesn't belong to us, because we can't be proud of even up to 30% of the food that is in the food industry in Cameroon as we speak.
Okay. Some persons may want to know more about the institution, the training institution out there in Yaoundé. What are the core programs that are being offered there?
Yes, at the training program at the Afro-Brains Training Academy, we train students on how to do transformation, all the protocols involved in the transformation of raw materials from various categories, from tubers, from grains, from fruits, from all the various categories. So we do that transformation process. We also look at how we can be able to ensure quality and standards. We look at how you can, we train them on quality and standards. We train them on, also on machine repairs, because if you're using a machine for your transformation, you need to have basic idea about how you can be able to clean and repair the machine. Because I had a visit in several food transformation units. I discovered that most people who bought machines from China don't even know how to clean the machines. So you find some people who have been using machines for 4 or 5 years. They've never cleaned it. Why? Because they didn't teach them how to clean the machine and things like that. So we want to stop all that, because they produce a lot of bad food into our market. So we want to stop all that. It gives bad name to the food industry in Cameroon. So it is in our interest to see that we train people who can understand machines, who can understand transformation machines, and who can know how to clean them and carry out regular maintenance. We also build a network amongst our students, in a way that if a student is working with any institution, that student has the possibility to call Afrobrains and request for an engineer to come and do maintenance at his place. So we are building an industry. The Cameroon food industry is still very virgin. Nothing is happening in the food industry in Cameroon. So we are building the industry and creating opportunities and giving these opportunities to Cameroonians so that Cameroonians can enjoy it.
Okay, so that Cameroonians can enjoy it. And some persons are worried that they are not students. Can they come to the school? What are the qualifications?
Yeah, at the Afrobrains training program, we do not insist on any qualification. Our goal is to provide specific sets of skills to Cameroonian youths who have the physical aptitude to do this program. So you don't need to be a degree holder. You don't need to have any impressive degree. No one is impressed at Afrobrains. At Afrobrains, no one is impressed by your degree. We can be encouraged by your degree, but we are not impressed by it. If you have it, fine. If you don't have it, come to Afrobrains. We will train you on how best you can take advantage of the little skills you might have. And we can also train you on skills you don't have. So don't be afraid if you don't have the skills. Just come and get the interview. If we select you and see that you are competent to participate in our program, we'll give you the possibility to pay your fees, and you can either be at the dormitory. We have a dormitory in Yaoundé. That is, if you want to school at Afrobrains program, you can be at the dormitory, or you can be a day student. So if you want to be a day student, please find out the distance between your relative who is in Yaoundé, if you are living with a relative, and the factory. The factory is found at Simbok in Yaoundé. So find out the distance between your relative's place and the factory at Simbok. So because sometimes some students, last batch that just graduated, some students had issues because when they were coming, they thought that maybe they wanted to be day students. But when they came and realized that the dormitory was already full, and they realized that their relative was living far. So at the end of the day, they spent more money paying transportation than they would have spent if they were living in the dormitory. So please, always try to get the right information. Yeah, the dormitory space is limited, so apply as early as possible. The program starts first week of June, and it's going to continue for 5 months for those who are doing the full program. We also organize special programs for groups and individuals who just want to learn something very specific for a specific task or something. Maybe you are an individual who want to start an oil, for example, an oil extraction small factory, but you don't have the required skills. You don't even know how it works. You're just so passionate about it. What we're going to do is that we're going to give you a training. Maybe the training is going to be like a week or 2 weeks. We give you a training. You come, you are with us, you go to the factory, you see exactly how it is done. You see exactly how to work with the machine. You see exactly how to get the best out of the machine. And you see exactly, you understand your raw materials, because a lot of people don't know that it is not all raw materials. For example, if you want to do oil extraction, there is special granules that you're going to use. It's not all granules that you're going to use. This kind of science, this kind of understanding, this kind of knowledge, you get it when you come to AfroBrains, and we'll teach you all this, and then you can maximize your investment in the food industry.
Okay, I'll take 1-2 messages and then we call it quit for tonight. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I'm interested in farming in Ewane, okay? I will send you his number. Greetings to you all. Please kindly link me to the gentleman. I share the same view with him. Lazarus Ayum is writing from Limbe. Lazarus, I will send you a doctor's number. Good evening. Thanks for your efforts to bring this topic. The food insecurity in Africa at large, and Cameroon in particular, is a well-calculated plan by France and China in complicity with our governments to make us only a consuming economy. When was the CDC and other agricultural plantations opened in this country, even by the Germans? Why is the government reluctant to expand to all regions with good available lands and cheap labor forces? The government can create many of these plantations to give jobs to the youth. Felix is writing from Bamenda. Good evening to you, Felix. Good evening, Sir Joel from K. From Jombe, sir, I was asking if I could have doctor's number. I want to know if one can work with him. What are the qualifications? Good evening. Good evening, Mr. Liu and Dr. Tata. I just want to say I'm enjoying your program and I love it. Actually, our guest of today is such a blessing to this generation. Clifford is writing from Bamenda. Good evening to you, Clifford. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Please for doctor's number. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Is this happening in this country, Mr. Liu? This is the kind of brains we need in this nation. We need to move this nation ahead. Mr. Liu, please for Dr. Tata's phone number. I can be one of his supplier for plantains and corn if he's interested in them. I'm called Mbang Gilbert Angama, watching from Mukete Estates Limited in Banga Bakundu, Cam 1. Okay, you have his number, you can get to him. Good evening, Mr. Kum. Good program. Can I have doctor's number? Okay, you have a doctor's number, doctor. We have to end the program at this juncture. We are glad you accepted our invitation to be part of this edition of the program.
It's always a pleasure being at here, and I think that I can really congratulate you for the efforts that you have made concerning AfroBrains Cameroon. From the very beginning, I remember even when I was back still in China, you've always been making this effort to encourage us. So I want to say that to all the small and medium-sized enterprises out there, I think My Media Prime is one of those TV stations in Cameroon you can count on. My Media Prime is one of those TV stations in Cameroon that is for the people. So do not hesitate to come to My Media Prime and talk with them, and they will always be there. My Media Prime was there with us from the very beginning. I'm very sure if you go to AfroBrains page, it's not just talking. Go to AfroBrains page and scroll back right to the very beginning, and you will see that you would watch videos of My Media Prime. You will watch videos of me in My Media Prime when I was still in China. So I think that you've always been there from the beginning, so I would not hesitate to always appreciate that, and I appreciate it so much.
Okay. Good evening to you, Henry Zong, watching us from Bingo out there in Boyo Division, Belo Subdivision to be precise. So we want to thank all of you who took time off to watch today's edition of the program, and to the production team, Eli and Desmond, and to you, Tabitha and Brian, supervising the work we do out here. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.